ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. So, first it was told that everything is the imperishable Om, and everything that's called a thing by you, that is cognizable by you, and that includes all the three periods of time, and the one who is calling the past, the present, the future, who essentially happens to be timeless. It includes that as well. Trikalaatitam yat asti, and that is also what? That is also Om. And then, as we were just assimilating this bombshell that I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, I'm not the senses, I have nothing to do with time. In fact, I'm not in the grip of time or space, I am actually beyond time. As we were uh, grasping all this, and we were discovering, as the sadhakas were discovering what? Oneself, the truth of oneself as Omkara. And what is this Om? And this Om is a name for Bhagavan. Om is a name for Bhagavan. I told you, Abhidhana, Abhideya, and Alambana. Alambana means the aid to invoke that which is the cause of the universe. And so then, as we are just assimilating all this, we are told one more thing. And what is that one more thing? Mantra number 2, Sarvam hi etad Brahma. And then, Ayam Atma Brahma. And this is this is like saying that this is one more bombshell, actually two bombshells in the in this particular sentence. So first, you are Om, everything is Om, you are beyond time. And then just casually the Upanishad says, by the way, everything is Brahman. And who doesn't know Brahman? Because the Mandukya Upanishad is studied actually at the end of one's studies. So by this time one is very aware of what Brahman is. And so that is one bombshell. And not being content with that, then there is one more small, casually with the Upanishad drops a Mahavakya, I am Atma Brahma. You are this, you are Brahman. And that's a lot to assimilate. And as I said, the current mantra, which is towards the end of the Upanishad, I think there are about 12 mantras which constitute this Upanishad. We are going to be looking at mantra 7. And this background is definitely needed, because when the Mahavakya means in a sentence of equation between the jiva, the tired, frayed, pun intended, jiva, and Bhagavan, the cause of the universe. When that equation is done, there is a samanadhikaranyam, there is an apposition. And that apposition is what is important to assimilate in order to get rid of sorrow. So without that we cannot understand this the concept for which this Upanishad is famous, aka Turiya. And so what is this Turiya will come later, because first we have to, because it's a new word trademarked by this Upanishad, a new word. And so therefore we have to first understand what is meant by this. What is meant by this Ayam Atma Brahma? What is this Brahman? Kim Tad Brahma? What is this Brahman? And Brahman, simply the word, comes from Brihi Vriddhau, something that is hugely big. Big, 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 big. Limitlessly big. Big without size. This Upanishad loves to do this. Because in order to teach, it has to use the words that you understand. It cannot use some special words without any connection to your life. And so when the Upanishad deploys the word, it does something. It takes off the clothes worn by the worn by the word in the form of prefixes, suffixes, and some common understandings, which are actually common misunderstandings. Like the word big is always associated with size in our minds. When I say, look at this big mustard seed, then you're not going to be looking at, you're going to be looking, looking, for the parimana, the size of the mustard seed. Whereas if I say, look at this huge big mountain, then you look for the mountain parimana, mountain sized bigness, mustard sized bigness, rat sized bigness, big cat sized bigness, that's already there in our minds. And though that becomes, those become inhibitors to understanding Brahman, because time and space are so what should I say, so deeply ingrained in our buddhi, in the brains, in the intellects, that we are not able to go beyond that. So big means how big is it? Is it is it a mountain big? Is it mustard big? No, it is big big. What do you mean by big big? Big without any size. And so that is even beyond comprehension to a person who is who is constrained by size, aka space. You see how time and space conspire to keep us, to keep the, the thinking, keep the jiva's thinking within samsara. So this is this is what has to be, you know uh, swept away. These wrong understandings have to be swept away. Because if you just say that Brahman, again same manin pratyaya, so again if this Brahman is big, big means what? How big? And the question how big is already mired in samsara. It's just coming up, bobbing up from the ocean of samsara, asking glub glub how big, and going down. This is what it is. And so the question how big is very impertinent here, pun intended. And so therefore the Chandogya and the Taittiriya Upanishad reveal Brahman in a very ingenious way, so that one understands this bigness without the burden of being connected or expecting a certain size to come forth. There is no size. Size involves space. We are talking of something that is not constrained by space, and we already saw that it's not constrained by time. And that's why the word, that's why it was not enough to say Sarvam idam Om. Sarvam hi idam sarvam aksharam Om. It was not enough, because Om here dismissed, the everything being Om dismissed time constraints. Yadyat trikalaatitam tadapi omkarah eva. It was clearly said that which is to be discovered as free of time. The one who is counting, the one who is counting time, telling the time. So much time has gone by, I haven't accomplished anything. This day also gone, this life also gone, this hour gone, this. And the person goes on vacation was wasted, and now because I'm more tired than when I started, so now what to do? Now I need a staycation. Now nobody says that because coronavirus has given you an endless staycation. So nobody says I longs for a staycation. So then the time constraint is still not is somewhat gone, but the spatial conditioning of the buddhi hasn't gone. And that is one reason to change the tactic here and to say, first say everything is Om is timeless, and then everything is Brahman, free of not only time but space, because the word Brahman itself means limitlessly big, unabashedly, limitlessly whole and big. And this is how the Taittiriya Upanishad begins. Brahmavida apnoti param tadeshabhyukta satyam jnanamanantam brahma yo veda nihitam guhayam parame vyoman. This is how it begins. And it says, it lures you in. The opening words of the Taittiriya, the mantra of the Taittiriya Upanishad, lures you in with a bait. What is the bait? Brahmavit, the knower of this thing called Brahman, the knower of this bigness. What happens? What happens to the person, to him or her? Apnoti, gains. What do they gain? Param. Param means the ultimate. There is nothing further to gain. Oh, the mumukshu is drooling now. Oh, the ultimate, really. The mumukshu is salivating, and naturally the one is hooked. Again, why does the Upanishad needs to hook you? Why should you be hooked by the Upanishad? Because otherwise you are otherwise busy being booked by various appointments. So now you need to be hooked by the Upanishad so that all the other things are gone. And this is what the whole thing is. And so like this, if you want to take a candy from the hand of the baby, give it something else to hold, shiny and big. And then it will drop the candy and it will hold on to this. This is the idea. So therefore, Brahmavid apnoti param, a hooking sentence. Come hither, come one, come all, ehi, ehi. Come to me, the Upanishad says, because I have something to give you for free. I'm just advertising my wares. And what is this? Where is this ware? Everywhere. My wares are everywhere, everything. It includes you. And this, the knower of Brahman, not the gainer of Brahman, not the experience of Brahman, Brahmavit, the knower of Brahman, gains everything. Oh, I want this. What do I want? Everything. When do I want it? Yesterday. I want it all the time. And so I want everything. Everything includes happiness. Everything includes bigness. Everything is everything ultimate. Who doesn't want the ultimate? I want the ultimate. I want that. Be after gaining which there is nothing more to want. Of course I want that. So the knower of Brahman gains the ultimate. Again a big bombshell in the first mantra of the Taittiriya Upanishad. Then naturally one starts to ask, what is this Brahman? Where is this? You hear a lot of whispers. Where is this Brahman? Do you know Brahman? And we have to know Brahman. What is this Brahman? There's a lot of Brahman gossip that has started. I hear it is something to be experienced, says one. I hear it's a special experience for which you need a grace of the Guru and you need to be bopped on the head with a peacock feather, says a bunch of peacock feathers, says another. So Brahman gossip has started. I hear it is a dispensation from above, says the third. And then the Upanishad corrects all this and defines Brahman once and for all. Actually, Brahman gossip is better than what who is wearing and why this person is behaving this way. Definitely better. Okay, yeah. So, because at least there is some inroad made into the spiritual realm. So then what? After this, we have to see the following. We have to see the definition of Brahman, a very ingenious definition of this bigness. So what can we agree upon that is Brahman? What is undeniably Brahman? Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Three words that define or rather indicate the presence of Brahman, the existence of Brahman. And ironically, the first word indicating the presence of Brahman is the word existence. I exist, you exist, dog exists, cat exists, Brahman also exists. And the Brahman gossip mongers are now again rife with a new gossip. Brahman is one more cheese. Cheese doesn't mean mozzarella and things you put on the pizza. No, cheese means thing. Brahman is one more thing in the universe. I have my thing, you have your things, and then there is Brahman. I don't have the time to gain this Brahman because I'm busy gaining other things. No, Brahman is a pursuit, because remember, you have to know it. I don't have time for this pursuit because I have so many other pursuits. This is our view. This is our sad view of existence. Things that exist naturally exist in time, and they are located in space. This is our misunderstanding. And that same misunderstanding is put towards Brahman, and one tries to understand Brahman from the same understanding, the finite understanding of the concept of everything that exists. Because you don't know anything that is eternal. In fact, the word eternal is something that is there only in the dictionary. Other than, somebody who says, who is waiting for a friend who doesn't come for half an hour and says, I have been waiting eternally for you, where have you been? So our concept of eternal is also vitiated by time, by space. So what to do here? The Upanishad uses a word Sat, the same word that we have been looking at in the last few classes in the Chandogya Upanishad. Same word, Sat. And what is this Sat? What this Sat is nothing but that which is existence itself. In Sanskrit, we have, we have a usage, very interesting. So, like other languages, we have a usage which is Kartari Prayoga. Kartari Prayoga means the active voice. Then, we have Karmani Prayoga, passive voice. We have active voice, we have passive voice. And then we have one more usage. What is that? Bhave. Bhave Prayoga means in the most abstract sense possible. So you knock off the time and space constraints connected with the word to exist, with the verb, and make it into an abstract noun. Existence. The status of being without time, without space, just being. So Brahman is a being. Yes. Oh, Abba, that much we have understood. Brahman is a being. A being, if there is no time and space involved, a being without a beginning, a being without an end. And this is what the Chandogya says, Sadeva Somya idam agre asit, idam sat. Sat and idam are in samanadhikaranyam, they are in apposition. Sat and idam are one and the same thing. This Sat was there. Was there means is there. Was there when? Srishtehe Prak, before this manifest universe came into being, the Sat was always there as Sat. Unmanifest to manifest, back to unmanifest, but the being does not undergo any change because the manifestation is as though. We'll see that the manifestation and the being from which the manifestation has been projected do not enjoy the same order of reality. The being is existent without limitations, and the manifestations are also existent but finite. From the infinite, the finite is projected, and the finitude applies only to the name and the form. That which inheres the finite name and forms is indeed the infinite. Because sarvam khalu idam brahma, all this that is here is Brahman, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and here sarvam etad brahma eva, everything is Brahman. From Brahman came Brahman. This is what it is. But Brahman, conditioned by a body, conditioned by a mind, in the case of sentient beings, and in the case of insentient beings, conditioned by time, space, name, form. And the conditioning agents are what? They do not belong to the same order of reality. Just like pot and clay do not belong to the same order of reality. Pot and clay are not synonyms. Otherwise, wherever you see clay, you should see pot. That doesn't hold true. We saw that yesterday. For me yesterday, okay, yeah. So we saw that in the previous class. That wherever you see pot, there is clay. Yes, the clay is the source, but if the other way doesn't hold true, wherever there is pot, there is clay. Yes, wherever there is clay, you cannot say there is pot. They are not synonyms. They show different orders of reality. And here, when we go to the source, that order of reality, when we are discussing the abstract existence in its most abstract sense, a sense where the existence is unending, non-beginning existence, that order of reality is what is called absolute paramarthikam. Paramarthika means that order of reality is absolute. Beyond that, there is no other reality. In fact, it's the only thing that is worth being called real by students of the Upanishads everywhere. That's the only thing worth being called real. Nothing else is can hold a candle. There's only one thing that is called real, and that is Sat. Satyam is just another abstract version of the word Sat, existence. Only one. How do we know? The Chandogya reveals this. Ekameva advitiyam Sat. Only one Sat. It happens to be non-dually one. And this one Sat alone is there, was there, is there, will be there, free of time. Satyam. And then the question, of course, asks this being, what do we know about Brahman now? It exists. After all this discussion, we know only one thing. It is. It is. That's all we know. And then what is it? Is it jada? Is it like a rock on the wayside? Or is it sentient? Is it insentient or sentient? No, it's a conscious being. Next word, jnanam. It's a conscious being. It's a being, all right, and it's a conscious being. Jnanam. Conscious being means what? Conscious of what? And then conscious versus unconscious, and then some things are conscious and some things are not conscious. And again we take the word jnanam. Jnanam here means knowledge, and you shake off everything. Like you take potatoes from the earth and then you have to kind of beat it on the side. All the things that go do not are non-potato, they don't belong. All the dirt of time space constraints in our hearts and minds, that is stuck on to the definition of Brahman, that is shaken off by the Upanishad. Jnanam, knowledge, sentience. Then when you say Brahman is sentient, are you talking of an agent of sentiency, as in I am sentient and I am conscious of what? This glass of water. Is it like that? Is it knowledge, to put it simply, as in the knower? No. What do you mean no? Well, knower is Brahman. Brahman is not just the knower. Because if Brahman is everything, it should include that which is cognized, it should include the known. If it doesn't include the known, then it is not everything. So then jnanam, in fact the word anam, the suffix anam is deliberately vague. The suffix anam, lut, is deliberately vague. Is it the agent? Jna plus anam. So anam means what? Is it the agent of knowledge? Well, yes and no. Is it that which is cognized as an object of knowledge? Well, yes and no. And then is it the means of knowledge, the pair of eyes whereby I am connected to this glass of water and I see this glass? The means of knowledge called sight being operated by me. Is it that? Well, yes and no. So are you going to keep saying yes and no? No. This yes and no is just tangential. It's on the way to understanding this. That's all it is. Yes, it is a sentient being, a conscious being, but it's a conscious being not particularly conscious of anything. Why? As we saw in the earlier classes, there is nothing other than itself to be conscious of. If you say I'm conscious of a shadowy presence following me, that means there is something other than you on the road, and you are conscious, you get the creepy feeling that somebody is following you. That means that there is something other than you. Here, Brahman is not conscious of anything. There is nothing other than Brahman for it to be conscious of. And then, so it is not an agent of sentience, it's not a sentient agent, it's not the cognizer. So if it's not the cognizer, then maybe it is the cognized, it is not the cognized either. Because if it is just the cognized, then it would become insentient, and we've already said it is jnanam. And then so it is not insentient, it is not cognized, it is not the cognized, it's not the cognizer, neither is it a means of cognition, as in eyes, ears, sense organs, inference, etc. But it lends its presence to all three without becoming any one of them. How? How do I assimilate this? Very easy. You just look at the example of the ocean and the waves. Let's say there are three waves: pramata wave, knower wave, known wave, and then prameya wave, and then finally pramana wave, means of knowledge wave, means of cognition, cognizer, cognized. Three waves are there sporting in the ocean. Pramata wave says, I am the cream, I am the one who cognizes everything. Pramana wave says, without me you can't cognize anything, shut up, and it makes itself big. like the cat, when it sees the dog, it makes itself big and walks sideways. Like that, this pramana waves sideways and makes itself appear bigger than it is. And then Prameya wave says, if you, because of me, you both are fighting. If there is nothing to cognize, no, there is no pramana operating, there is no pramata. If I am not there, I am the biggest of all, I can swallow you up. You both are nothing. And while they are fighting, the ocean is just happily watching the show. This is the cable TV from the standpoint of the ocean. To see this, to see this movie of the waves having going at each other. And what is the ocean? Is ocean pramata? No. Yes and no. Is ocean pramana? Yes and no. Is ocean prameya? Yes and no. Ocean is lending its being, lending its knowledge, lending its limitlessness to the waves to have fun fighting with one another to see who is the most prominent, who is the best, east or west. All waves source their being in the ocean, come from the ocean, sustained by the ocean. If the ocean withdrew itself, there would be no wave. All the waves would have to wave a hurried goodbye because there would be no wave to speak of. All the waves gone. If the ocean is gone, waves are gone. And the wave and the ocean, even though you see them at the same time, so to speak, they are not synonyms. One is the source, the other is what? Outsourced. Yeah. Yeah. The other is just, like a little call center. Nowhere. Known. Means of knowledge. That's all it is. It is nothing. It's nothing other than the ocean. That's how, if ocean is equal to Brahman, you can say Brahman is everything. Here the knower wave is showing itself off. I am the cognizer of this. I have discovered something. I'm going to name this after me. And then the fossil that was discovered, if it could talk and if it had a human mind, would say, you know what? If I start telling you my life story, you won't even have a place to go and hide. My life began 14 billion years ago. I am a visitor from outer space. I am a piece of an asteroid. And then what are you? You were born yesterday. What have you accomplished? Or another fossil can say, I was a tree. And then, I have pieces of calcium in me. And I have this, I have that, I have watched everything. I have watched the tectonic plates shift. I have done this. What have you done? So the prameya is fighting with the pramata. If, of course, this is just hypothetically, if it had a human mind, it would just say, go away. You are able to cognize me. Big joke. Who are you? You time-bound individual waking up with back pain every day. And look, I have outlasted several lifetimes of you. Shame on you to say that you are the cognizer of me and you are going to name me after yourself. And then meanwhile, the pramana wave here in the mind of this pramata, in the form of inference. This fossil is just like that fossil, upama, deploying upama, inference. This is how it is, so it must be this many thousands of years old. They'll take one bone, they'll take a piece of wood, something, and then they will do carbon dating. They will know exactly how old, which range it is. And then they will make all these discoveries. And the means for making the discoveries, if it had a human mind, it would say, you both are nothing, I am everything without me. No discoverer, no discovery, shut up. Each one is saying shut up. Maybe all three should shut up and then listen to the Taittiriya. And then that is where the Upashamana takes place. There is nothing else here. There is nothing other than Brahman. That's why we need a transcendental epithet to get rid of this triputi. This triputi means this not only duality, but here there is a triad of differences in the form of knower, known, means of knowledge operated by the knower, cognizer, cognized, and means of cognition, however you want to put it. And everything is Brahman. Brahman is not any one thing. Just go back to the wave example. Every wave is the ocean. Ocean lends its presence and lends its substance, namely water, for the wave to become a wave. Wave comes, wave goes, and if there are 1,000 waves, the ocean doesn't undergo any change. The changing waves are as though projection of the changeless ocean. This is exactly how we have to understand the word jnanam, deliberately vague, deliberately abstracted from having any kind of a clinging, a clawing to any particular identity as knower, as known, as means of knowledge. Everything is Brahman. Brahman is not any one thing. Just like pot is clay. Pot number 1 clay, pot number 2 clay, pot number 3 clay. But you don't say clay number 1, clay number 2. I already told you that. Clay 3, clay 4, clay 5 does not exist. Clay is one. Clay transcends, we can use the word here, the pot. Pot does not transcend the clay. In fact, pot is all clay. The weight of the pot is the weight of clay. The color of the pot is the color of the earth, which is clay. The smell of the pot is also you're smelling the clay when you smell pot. In fact, there is no such thing as pot separate from clay. The pot does not have a separate existence. So Brahman here, which is clay sthaniya, which is standing in place of clay here, Brahman is Sat. And then what? Pot, which is Jagat sthaniya. The pot is basically what has come. Pot stands for the Jagat. Jagat sthaniyam pot, ghataha. What is this ghata? This ghata, this which stands for the Jagat, comes and goes. But then Brahman, the pot, the Jagat is Brahman. Everything in the Jagat, everything that has name and form has been as though occupied by Brahman, animated by Brahman, the animating force in each and everything. To be that thing is Brahman. Without Brahman, everything is nothing. Just like without the ocean, no wave possible. That's why the word vastu, which means thing in Sanskrit, is only used for Brahman. Everything else is nothing. When Sanat Kumara goes Narada goes to Sanat Kumara. Sanat Kumara went to Dakshinamurti, that was a long time ago, but this is later in the tradition. Narada goes to Sanat Kumara for instruction. And Sanat Kumara, the teacher, naturally asks, where should I begin? Vedanta 101, Brahman 001. So please tell me what you know. What is it that you know? So that we can, so that I can start the class on a wavelength that is familiar with you. And he makes a big list. Rigvedo aham adhyemi means I am a student of the Rig Veda, I am studying it even now. Yajurvedah, Samavedah, oh you are Trivedi. Atharva Vedah, oh Chaturvedi, you know 4 Vedas. Shiksha, Kalpaha, Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Chandas, Jyotisham iti, all the angas of the Veda. Astronomy, astrology, the know-how of rituals, and then grammar, and then nirukta, synonyms, origin of words, and all this chanda, jyotisha, astronomy, astrology border, that which occupies that is called jyotisham. I know all that. And Sanat Kumara is about to speak, but his list is not over. I know all the Upavedas, Nakshatra Vidya, Shastra Vidya, Ayurveda, all these Dhanur Vidya, this Vidya, that Vidya. I know this, I know that. I know Ramayana by heart, Itihasa. I know Mahabharata backwards, Itihasa. Purana, of course, I know all of them. Ask me any story anywhere, I will tell you where it belongs to. I am a walking, talking Puranic concordance, encyclopedia. And then he ends his list with the with a sad conclusion. So, Soham Bhagavaha. Soham? Oh, Soham means, oh my God, I am Bhagavan. No, no, no. Soham here means Hoham Bhagavaha. I'm just Hoham. I'm just this humdrum of this daily existence I'm caught in. I'm a big Hoham. And as soon as I list all these things, I feel like yawning. This is all so boring. It has got me nowhere. Soham Bhagavaha. Shochami. I'm grieving, I'm weeping even as I'm standing in front of you. Indefinite present. Shochami. I'm just crying, I'm subject to grief. Shokasya param tarayatu bhavan. Please, I implore you. Make me cross this ocean of tears. Why? I have Shrutamidam. I have heard this. This is well known. Atmavit shokam taratiti. That the knower of the I, the knower of the self crosses all sorrow. Please teach me. Sanat Kumara says, well, the problem is very clear. Oh, Narada, I can't say I'm impressed with your knowledge. But I will say, you know a lot of nothing. You know a lot of nothing. How much is a lot of nothing? Nothing. How much is a little bit of nothing? Nothing. So from KG to PhD, everything has been, everything has been dismissed as nothing. Why? If you don't know that one thing, because of which all things exist, your knowledge is as good as nothing. This is what the whole thing is. So this Brahman, which is existent, which is consciousness itself without needing to be conscious of any one thing. And how long is it sentient? Forever. How long is it existent? Forever. Therefore the last word, Ananta, unendingly sentient, unendingly consciousness, unendingly awareness, unendingly. It is limitlessly existent, limitlessly knowledge, all knowledge. And this is what is the definition of Brahman. And after defining Brahman, the Taittiriya Upanishad says, Saha Ashnute. So Oshnute Sarvan Kamaan Saha Brahmana Vipaschiteti. Then another little hook is given. You are invited to all you can eat. And all you can eat is already very alluring. And then all you can eat buffet, who do you go with? You go with a celebrity. You go along with a celebrity, then all you can eat becomes even more meaningful. Otherwise, you're just keeping on eating by yourself. But here there is a very famous person that you go to this very big restaurant, wonderful restaurant for all you can eat. And the restaurant is nothing but the Jagat with all the victuals that it has to offer. Jagat is on the menu, folks, and all you can eat. And who are you going with? Brahmana Saha, along with Brahman? Question mark? No. Itham bhute tritiya, as Brahman. As Brahman, you enjoy the Jagat. As a Jiva, you deplore the Jagat. As Brahman, you enjoy everything because it is but merely an as though extension of you. It is that as thoughness that takes everybody for a spin, which is the next thing we are going to see. But for now, just take my word for it. Take the Upanishad's word for it. So Brahman is not a cause of sorrow, and identifying as the ocean is much, much better than identifying as the Pramana wave that is fighting with the Prameya wave, that is fighting with who? The Pramata wave. And all of them are in the doldrums. They say, I don't feel so good, and I'm crying. And then, some guru wave has to form in the ocean. Guru wave has to come from the Indian Ocean, because India is the place of Upanishads. That's the only reason. Okay, it can be another foreign guru also, no problem. As long as they know their stuff and they are able to teach, we don't have a problem with that. And so it can come, the wave will come, and and all the three waves, Pramata wave, Prameya wave, Pramana wave, sit down in front of the Guru wave, who teaches what? The same thing. Brahmavida apnoti param satyam jnanam anantam brahma. All this is Brahman. Just like the gold can say, I sustain the world of ornaments, without becoming any ornament. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. Lord Bhagavan, Krishna, declares in the 9th chapter, by me this whole universe, everything is pervaded. By me, who is essentially formless, who is all knowledge, who is everything essentially formless, nameless. By me is pervaded the entire world of names and forms. I bless the world of names and forms. Matsthani sarva bhutani. I am in everything. As though, because the very next thing, nacha aham teshu avasthitah, I don't exist in things. I as though lend my presence, without becoming the thing, the very thing which is blessed by my presence. Just like the gold, I bless the ornament with my shine, with my pricelessness, without becoming the ornament. The clay can likewise say, I lend my existence to the pot, without becoming the pot. And then again, if we are stuck at the level of these examples, because all the examples are finite, from the finite we make a quantum leap to understanding the infinite. The only way to understand the infinite is as oneself. There is no other way. And we'll be seeing that too very shortly. And so here, the most important thing to see is that, the examples are finite. The pot can say, so the clay can say, I just lend my existence to the pot. But then, grammatically speaking, we count pot and clay as two different things in the world. And then that which was the cause of pot, namely clay, then becomes the effect seen from the standpoint of clay molecules. Molecules are the cause, clay is now the effect, and so therefore these examples are very finite. We just take them only to the extent that they can illustrate something, and after that we have to take off. We have to take off from the example. And so similarly, everything is Brahman. Means what? It lends, as it were, its existence, it enters, as it were, every name and form, and sustains the name and form without becoming any one of those things. It remains itself, and then it blesses everything. This is what is Brahman, knowing which Narada was freed from sorrow, knowing which all the students who went to the Upanishads, the students who feature in the Upanishad, were freed from fear and sorrow. And this is basically what to understand when the Mandukya Upanishad says everything is Brahman. Okay, I think I got it. And then what? A casual Mahavakya bombshell is dropped. I am Atma Brahma. Hello, if everything is Brahman, does it include you or not? Say yes quickly so we can move on. Yes, indeed, it includes you. It has to include you. You, I am Atma, this Atma. I am means this which is closest to you, this that Adi Shankara so poetically says, this that is indicated by the slight gesture to the heart. I, I am Atma, I am Atma, I am Atma, the one who says, I am Atma. What is that? Brahma. Okay, okay, I'm as though lost. You can say this. I'm as though lost. Why? Why are you lost? Because I was fine seeing everything as Brahman, but when this Brahman comes right to roost in the heart, Brahman is coming to roost in the heart. And then what? That is where the rub is. I don't follow because I don't feel like Brahman. Brahman is big, I am small. Brahman is the cause, I am because. Brahman, Brahman is all, I am tiny and small. Brahman is God. You remove the G, I am odd. That's what it is. So there is a chasm, there is a yawning chasm bigger than the Grand Canyon in my understanding. And then, Brahman means what? It is Bhagavan. It is Bhagavan manifest as this universe, the manifester of this universe. And who am I? I am occupying a manifested body, tiny brain, tiny body. And then and big complexes. The only similarity with Brahman bigness is the bigness of my complexes. My complexes are huge, yes, undeniably huge, limitlessly big. I am in the form of all kinds of complexes. Nobody loves me, nobody cares, nobody wants me, nobody dares, nobody this, nobody that. And then everybody misunderstands me. I didn't have this, I didn't have that when I was growing up. I lack, I lack, I lack, I lack, I lack. I want, I want, I want, I want, I want. I have bad luck, I have misfortune, I have bad prarabdha, I have a bad horoscope. This is this is limitless. Limitless are my complaints, limitless are my complexes. And if that's what you mean by saying I am limitless, okay, I agree. But that you know very well that's not what is meant. That's not what is meant. So where is this I am Atma and Brahman? Where is this equation? I don't even see a point of similarity. Forget an equal to sign. An equation operates at the level of an apparent dissimilarity, in fact an apparent opposition, between the terms which have an equal sign. And then when you resolve the equation, you see that underlying identity. Just like a mathematical equation, a physicist coming up with an equation like Einstein's relativity equation. E is equal to mc squared. E one letter, and then two letters here, and then squared as well. This is something to be understood. A student of physics cannot say, I believe you, oh teacher. I take your word for it. You have to see. You have to see this. You have to see how matter is equal to energy, and that is what it is. It's a cognitive it's a cognitive understanding. And it's not something to experience, it is something to know. That's why it's not someone, the one by whom Brahma anubhuyate, by whom Brahman is experienced. That's not what it says. Yah brahmavit sah paramatnoti, the one who knows Brahman. And this knowing requires a lot of knocking off and what is called the seeing the words at an abstract level, indicatory words. defining Brahman. And we've seen these three words: Satyam, existence; Jnanam, knowledge; Anantam, limitless. These are what indicate Brahman. But where am I in this? You are right sandwiched between Sat, existence, and Anantam, limitless. If Satyam and Anantam were pieces of bread, you are the filling. Aha, you are Purna. Because filling in Sanskrit is called Purna. You put it in Modak, Purna. You are Purna. Oh, but what is in between Satyam and Anantam? Jnanam. Jnanam is that which is in between Satyam and Anantam. It glues Satyam and Anantam together, otherwise there is no equation. But Jnanam, but me, Jnanam, all knowledge, I am all knowledge, really? Are you sure you're not talking of someone else? No, you. All knowledge. How? Well, do you know? Do you know that you know a few things? Yes. I know a few things. I know how to complain. That's at the first of the list of all the things I know. I know how to kvetch, I know how to complain, and plus I know a few other things. I occasionally go to work and then I do a few things and come back. I can say I know a few things. So do you know that you know all these things? Yes, I know that what I know. Do you also know that there are many things in this universe which are not not jnatam, ajnatam, asti? Do you know that there are many things you don't know? Yes, I don't know Greek, I don't know Chinese, I don't know this, I don't know that, I don't know this. There are a lot of things that I don't know. Are you aware of all that you don't know? Yes. And so then idam sarvam atma. Idam sarvam brahma. I am atma brahma. What is the definition of idam sarvam? All this means what? All this. You can make a head gesture, but that doesn't mean. But what does it mean? Words, please. Okay. All this means what I know plus what I don't know is equal to all. I know what I know, yes. I know that I don't know, yes. And I never can say, I know, I don't know that I know. I can say I don't know that I know, but I can never deny that I know, I know, I know. I am a being, Sat, I am a knowing being. I am aware of all the things I know. I am aware of the objects of cognition, and I am aware of those objects which I don't know. I know that I don't know. And that I know never becomes I don't know. It's a non-negatable knowledge whose moorings are Brahman, whose source is that which is Brahman. Which, because it is non-negatable, it is the only reality, Paramarthika. There is no Vyavaharika there. There is no, we'll see that soon. There is no Vyavaharika, there is no Pratibhasika, nothing. It's just the only order of reality that is there. I know, I am all knowledge because I know. I am a being, I am a conscious being. In fact, I am awareness itself. I am a knowing being. And that knowing is limitless because it never becomes denied. It can never be denied, it can never be negated, it can never be altered. And that knowing being I am, which is why I am limitless, which is why I is equated to Brahman. Just that word jnanam. Or if you put it differently, Sat Chit Ananda, Ananta Ananda, one and the same. That which is Ananta, without end, is of course a source of Ananda, unbridled, limitless joy. So Ananta, Ananta, Ananda, one and same. Satyam, Sat, one and same. And then what is left? Chit. Chit is Jnanam, consciousness, awareness. And this I is just awareness. and you beat the potatoes after harvesting them on the ground, the body falls off, the mind falls off in reckoning, okay? Yeah. The body drops off in one's cognition because the body is incidental to I, the mind is incidental to I is defined as prajna. So what do you become? Prajna. You this is this is an epithet that is given to the individual in the Mandukya. Prajna. And then you are prajna. You are just consciousness. Body drops off, mind drops off, senses drop off. Jnanendriya, karmendriya, organs of action, organs of knowledge, all these things drop off. What is there? Is only sentiency without any particular qualification. And that is how one is invited now to define oneself, rather recognize oneself, redefine oneself as the only thing that is existent and as the only thing, as the source of all sentiency. Not particularly cognizant of something, but consciousness itself. And then when I am aware of the world around me, I become Bahish Prajna. See how beautiful it is. See how we are already covering Mantra 7. I become Bahish Prajna, an occasional qualification to the Prajna, which is the original definition of I, the undeniable definition of I, Prajna. Then this Prajna is as though qualified by an incidental. When you become aware of the world around you, you say, oh, what a nice day, sun is out, Bahish Prajna. Oh, I don't feel so good, I'm feeling kind of funny, Antaf Prajna. I am cognizant of what is within. Again, within, without are relative. So they come under the purview of space, time, etc. Incidental to the cognition itself, to that which is the cognition which is unbridled without any limits. When this cognition, that is I, is outward focused, I say I am a waker. When it is inward focused, I am a dreamer. When there is no focus, I am a sleeper. Sleeper is I, and dreamer cannot exist without the I as prajna. Waker cannot exist without the prajna, I. I am neither waker nor dreamer nor sleeper. This is at the level of where the Mahavakya operates, and the Upanishad therefore dares to declare, Sarvam hi etad Brahma ayamatma Brahma ayamatma Brahma. This Atma, this you, is indeed Brahman. Because the operation that has taken place to redefine the I, the beating of the potatoes on the sidewalk, or wherever you have harvested, you bring them on a hard surface and you beat the dirt out of the potatoes. This is what is called Bhagatyaga Lakshana, a kind of a operation of the words where certain things are retained, existence retained, time bound, thrown away. Knowledge retained, knower known distinction thrown away. This is what is called the Lakshana. The words are indicative of this equation. So we have resolved one side, we have solved one side of the equation, I. Now on the other side we say Brahman, OMG, Bhagavan. Brahman is the cause of the universe. Purusha eva idagum sarvam yad bhutam yadcha bhavyam utamritatvasyeeshanah yadannena atirohati. Like this, all these glories of Bhagavan as the Purusha, as the one who is the cause of the universe, are given in the suktas of the Rig Veda. And we extol these virtues. The one who is all knowledge, the one who has power, Shakti, Shakti to transform this universe, Shakti to create, Shakti to project, Shakti to take back, Shakti to sustain. And my Shakti is what? My Shakti is to have self-ignorance. My Shakti is just to not even to sit under a fog of self-ignorance. Maya Shakti has turned its back on me, but has endowed Bhagavan with Bhagavatta. Bhagavatta means the stature of being Bhagavan. And there again the potatoes have to be beaten. You take away the cape, you take away the crown, you take away the status of Bhagavan, Ishvara, and you take away even the universe. Without the universe, there is no rulership. There is no Bhagavatta. There is no rulership at all without the universe. And so therefore what? You take away the universe and what are you left with? Brahman Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That's all it is. Bhagavan is Brahman plus Shakti, and Jiva is what? Brahman plus Avidya. The plus is as though. Avidya is also as though. The Shakti also is as though. Therefore, I am Brahman. So you do the same thing on the other side. You resolve the equation on the other side also. Then you have Atma is equal to Brahman. And Brahman is always understood as Jagat Karanam Brahma, as Ishvara. That's why there is a long discussion in the Bhashya. Sometime we can study that, where Turiya, Adi Shankara says, is Bhagavan, has to be understood as Ishvara. There's no other way to look at it. So the Ishwaratvam comes and goes. Ishvara remains as a sentient conscious being. Jivata, Jivatvam, the status of being a Jiva, helpless, hapless, miserable, comes and goes, and then you shine as what? As Brahman. That is what it is. Brahman sustains everything without being any one thing. And if this much is understood, at least somewhat, if you are able to appreciate this, then we are left with the Jagat, holding the Jagat in the hand. Why? Because Jiva is taken care of. Jiva is Ishvara. Ishvara was already taken care of. Both are Brahman. Okay, understood. That is how the equation follows. But then you are left holding the bag called Jagat. Rather, you are left holding the baggage called Jagat. The trope of all sorrow, the terrain of conflict, Kurukshetra, and the place where all the karmas are eked out, in complete, protest of the one where all the prarabdhas are eked out, and the people carrying the prarabdhas are protesting, I don't want this, I don't want that. And you're left holding the baggage of the Jagat. And what's the use of this Mahavakya? When this Jagat is wailing and blowing up in your hand. The Jagat is a ticking time bomb, cognitively speaking, and you are left holding this Jagat. OMG, what are you going to do with this Jagat? And in the Mahavakya, no Mahavakya is complete without reckoning this. You are not left holding this crying baby called Jagat, because its reality is also examined. You cannot say Jagat is unreal, because even as you are holding it, you don't know whether it is holding you or you are holding it. Like the fellow who in the Shastra, and this is a Shastric story, he wanted to show he was a newcomer in the village and he had a lot to prove. So he wanted to show he was brave. So he went to the forest, encountered a casual tiger happening to be passing by, and in a fit of courage caught hold of its tail and invited all the people, hey, Come and see me. I'm so brave. I'm holding the tiger's tail. And the tiger took off. And he was flying in the air and being dragged a part of the time. And then, and then everybody came. Of course, from a safe distance, they watched. And then the chiefman, the village chieftain said, yes, yes, we are convinced how brave you are. We have this pot of gold for you as an award. Come and get it. Do you think he can come and get it and receive the award? As he flew past the village, all he could be heard saying is, keep it for my descendants. I can't enjoy this award. You caught hold of the tiger's tail, but then there is a doubt. Are you the catcher or are you caught? Because you cannot leave it. The moment you leave it, the blessed thing is going to turn around and claw at you, and that is an euphemism, okay? That's just a euphemism. It's going to then you will have a new experience. This fellow will have a new experience of Advaita. He'll become one with the tiger. Like there is one limerick. These silly things, rhyming things are there. I don't know if I can remember it. There was a lady from Niger who smiled as she rode a tiger. They returned from the ride with a lady inside and a smile on the face of the tiger. This is everyday Advaita, okay? Everyday oneness. Everyday Advaita Siddhi. That is only what we can see. So this fellow who's caught hold of the tail of the tiger cannot leave it. What kind of a bravado it is for you to say, I'm left holding the Jagat. You are not holding the Jagat. Jagat has caught hold of you. Why? Because you don't understand the reality of the Jagat. Oh, but it is real because it's pricking me here. It is backstabbing me. After all I did for it, it is being mean to me. The jiva has suddenly become 4. Is searching for the security blankie, wanting to just come out of this but not knowing how. So you cannot say the Jagat is non-existent. Jagat is just like the pot. Can you say the pot is non-existent? If you say the pot is non-existent, then how can it hold water? The argument that the Jagat is non-existent does not hold water here. So the Jagat is not non-existent. And because you think the Jagat is existent, you are grieving. Narada was told that. You take nothing to be everything. That is why you are grieving. And you don't know the one thing because of which everything is. That is the sorrow. That is the grief. That is the fear. So you cannot say the Jagat is existent. Because immediately, a sad feeling comes on. Oh no, Jagat is real. Existent means real. There is only one real, that is Brahman, we have seen. But then, if that word real has been occupied by Brahman, where will the Jagat go? You cannot say it is unreal. Because you are aware that the significant other and you have major differences. You are aware of that even when you say Jagat is unreal. She or he is your Jagat, you are his or her Jagat, and so this and so the world goes on. You cannot say it is non-existent, aka unreal. The word Sanskrit word for that is tucham, and you cannot say it is real. Sat, the word has been copyrighted and claimed by Brahman. It cannot be used for anything else because there is only one Sat, one available, non-dually one. You cannot say it is non-existent. Tucham, because what is biting you? If you say it is non-existent. And so we have to search for an intermediary word. Mithya. Mithya doesn't mean non-existent. Mithya doesn't mean illusion. Mithya Mithya is not a thing that you can purchase in the market. That is mithai. That is different. That is sweet. Slightly different spelling. This is mithya. Mithya means that it's a reality status. It is not a thing. You cannot say there is Satyam, that is one thing, there is Mithya, that is two things. Now I have to know two things, Satyam and Mithya. Oh no. This is what one professor in Berkeley went and met Pujya Swamiji a long time ago and said, I am an avid student of Vedanta, Pujya Swamiji. Pujya Swamiji was very happy and he attended one class also. He came to the ashram and Pujya Swamiji looked at him throughout and taught him completely, gave everything he had in that class, and afterwards invited him to have a cup of tea with him in his quarters. And then the professor, I forgot the name, some doctor so and so, came and sat down and then said that class was brilliant. Pujya Swamiji was so happy that so much of it was understood by this professor. I have just one question. Swami, I have only one question. What is it? I just don't understand two things. I understand all of Vedanta, Swami. Only two things I don't understand. What is that? I don't understand Satyam. And I don't understand Mithya. Mithya and Satyam, I don't understand. Everything else I understand. Pujya Swamiji said, I felt like drowning in the cup of tea that I was drinking. Because if Satyam and if Satyam and Mithya are not understood, there is no Vedanta. No Vedanta. Because there's only two things that make Vedanta, the cognition, the understanding, the thorough understanding of Satyam, and the thorough understanding of what is Mithya. Mithya is not it's not existence. It is not something that you can dismiss as non-existent. It is a dependent existent. It is not a thing. It is a reality of a thing. Pot is mithya in relation to clay. Ornament is mithya when you look at it from the standpoint of gold. Mithya comes, mithya goes. Mithya is finite, but mithya doesn't have a leg to stand on without the infinite. The infinite infuses, so to speak, as though the finite and gives it, animates it. Satta spurti pradhanena, the infinite Brahman lends its existence, lends its being, so to speak, lends its awareness, so to speak, for everything to appear, lends its knowledge. What do you mean it lends its knowledge? Because when you say flower is, what do you mean? Existence is, the isness belongs to Brahman. And when you say flower is nothing but the knowledge of the flower. Knowledge of flower is. And what do you mean by the knowledge of flower? Whatever that is visible, how many petals they have, this flower has, how many petals are there, in what formation, what is the stamen like, what is the stem like, under what conditions does the flower, how does it, what kind of insects does it attract, how does the pollen get formed. All this is the knowledge of the flower. Flower is equal to knowledge, jnanam. That is what it is. Jnanam is borrowed from Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. Flower shines in borrowed existence. Flower shines in borrowed knowledge. And if it stops borrowing, there is no flower. No flower, etc. So flower is Brahman, flower is Satchidananda, flower is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Okay, how is this Anantam? Because tomorrow the flower will be gone. Even to say flower is gone, I am constrained to use the word is. The is has migrated from the name and form called flower to a name and form called compost, the delight of all Oregonians. You know, yeah, compost. And then composted flower is. The is never goes away. Another flower bush is. Another flower tree is. Fed by the compost it has come. Wilted flower is. Withered flower is. Composted flower is. It's just the various avatars of the flower. The isness doesn't go. It simply migrates from name to name, form to form, name to form to name, without really leaving. Isness doesn't depart. Name and form being finite, being mithya, come and go. They depart, they come, they take on various forms. But within and in and through each and every form, every name, inheres the presence of Brahman. So what is mithya? Adhishthana ananyat, non-separate from Sat. Mithya is Sat. Pot is clay. Sat is not mithya. Clay is not pot. So now are you left holding the Jagat bag? Not really, because Jagat has been omified, has been Brahmanized, and so there is everything is Brahman. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma, Ayam Atma Brahma. Ayam Atma has to be mentioned separately. It's not enough for the Upanishad to say everything is Brahman, go home. Because as the famous tenth man story, one forgets to count oneself. 10 brahmacharis on a picnic. Not terribly bright, I have to say, and then they all go, they splash each other in the ferry boat ride, they go to the other banks of the river, attend a mela, a fair. They have a jolly time on the day off from studies at the ashram, and then they come back. Before getting back on the boat, the brightest one of them all, in his opinion, says, line up, because I've told the teacher I'm responsible for all of you, I'm the monitor, let me count all of you. And then he counts and forgets to count himself, he forgets to account for himself. Dashamaha, the 10th one, always comes up with 9. And then the other one says, who was jealous of him, says, you are no good, let me count. He also comes up with 9. After all, they are studying in the same ashram. They are spending a lot of time together. Their what should I say, in brilliance is rubbing off on all the Guru Bhais. And then what? And each one comes with the same number, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. And then they all say, we have to have a memorial for the one who is lost. The one, perhaps, one says he must have drowned in the river. Another one says maybe he's lost in the fair. So standing right and there, they are grieving. And this story being set in ancient India, there's always some holy sage walking around, and one such sage says, Murkhas, come and stand in front of me, let me count you. He takes the whole situation in. After asking one question, what's the matter, there's only 9 of us, immediately he knows what is happening. And so that's why the Upanishad, after saying everything is Brahman, it's not redundant to say Ayam Atma Brahma, because that is where the rub is. One forgets to account for oneself. One says, yes, this is Brahman, that is Brahman, like a child pointing out to everything, and then forgets to count oneself. So Brahman is you. Brahman is the whole world. And whole world, that you are not left holding the baggage called the Jagat, because that Jagat is also non-separate from Brahman. Jagat is Brahman, Brahman is not the Jagat. Jagat includes your body, mind, sense complex. And therefore what? You are Prajna. And about this Prajna, the Upanishad has a lot to say, especially in this mantra. And then, after looking at the collective, then we come back to the individual level in this mantra, talking of the sleeping experience, mithya, dreaming experience, mithya, waking experience, also mithya. Therefore, you are none of the three. You are Chaturiyaha. You are the fourth from the standpoint of the three. So, Yamatma Chatushpat, that we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.